Welcome to Bridging the Generations podcast. I am your host, Malak Arif, and today we have a legend. This is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, one of my favorite lead frontmen of all time. It is an honor to have this brother on the platform. I'm talking about lead singer of the legendary Tower of Power, known for songs such as Look Up With Your Mind, Cause I Love You, So Very Hard to Go, Just Where We Start Making It. The list goes on, and we're talking about none other than the legendary Lenny Williams. Brother,
I'm doing good. Today's just been a crazy day. I was in Monroe, Louisiana on Sunday night, Saturday night. Got home Sunday and just been going. But I'm here, as my daddy would say. Here I is. Yes.
No. So look, before we even get started, again, let me say it's an honor to have you on the platform. On behalf of the Bridging the Generation podcast. I am so excited, brother. I'm a huge fan.
I appreciate that, and it's an honor for me to be here. On your show, and and bridging the generations. Yes,
no doubt.
Definitely. Yes,
no doubt. So with everything that's going on, we got a lot that's going on in this world. The pandemic, a lot of things in regarding to politics. So we're not gonna get into all of that, but with all this going on, how are you able to maintain throughout all that's going on in 2021?
Well, I've been around here a long time, so I've got a pretty good defense mechanism. I've been on this planet for 76 years, and so I've got a pretty good defense mechanism.
No
but
doubt.
I just try to I was raised in church, so you just kind of grew up learning to pray and to just you kind of try to walk a straight line.
Right.
And a friend of mine wrote a song called "How Can You Walk a Straight Line if you're wearing crooked shoes?"
Right.
But I try to walk a straight line, and so sometimes I veer off, and I think that straight line is not necessarily living right, but it's kind of like thinking right, trying to not get too up or too down with your emotions and things of that nature. So I try to be even keel in my approach to life and the situations that life can bring to you. So I think emotionally, that's what's been able me to survive through the entire pandemic. Just the fact that that just stay prayerful, and we found out through science that prayer is basically meditation. So a person might say, I don't meditate, but if you praying, you meditating, so you get the same benefits, so that's what kind of keeps me fairly sane. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, look, Lenny, it's great to hear that, and again, I'm so honored to have you on. You look good, by the way, brother.
Oh, I've been trying. I do my little push-ups and take me a little walk every morning, walk a couple miles, and
no doubt.
Try to do at least 25 push-ups and a couple planks, and eat some oatmeal and drink a lot of water and all that good stuff.
I know that's right.
Lay off of that salt and that sugar, and I'm just trying to preserve the temple. Yeah.
No doubt. I was listening to you. I was watching some live concerts from you. With you. Not that long ago, and I'm like, that voice has not changed, brother. That voice, you still have this youthful voice, man. And I'm not saying you're old, man, but man, when I hear that voice, it is phenomenal, brother. Like, you don't miss a beat, man. Talk about that. How has it been, as far as like maintaining that unique voice of yours, man? Because I always said that Lenny Williams is one of the most gifted, talented vocalists that we have ever had on this earth.
I appreciate that. Well, I do my vocal exercises, so I'm always, doing voice exercises every day in the car. I go on my walks and do them, around the house. I might wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to go to the bathroom, and I'll say, I always want to make sure the voice is working. I might say, ah! And my wife's like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You done woke me up. I'm like, hey, this is the money maker right here. We got to just make sure that it's working. So,
No doubt.
Drinking a lot of water,
No doubt.
doing the vocal exercises. I try not to yell, raise my voice. My wife was a season ticket holder for the Warriors, right? And so I could never really go a lot because I'm always gone. But
Right.
occasionally I would go with her, and she had to tell all her friends that the people that sit around her that I'm not antisocial and and I'm not a mute.
Right.
But I just don't talk in big cavernous places, and
Gotta preserve those pipes.
yeah, somebody make a spectacular dunk and everybody's
Right.
and I'm just sitting there, and so what's wrong with him? Oh, he protected that
Right.
voice, right? Yes. So just doing a lot of reading about the voice. I actually probably could be an ear, nose, and throat. I don't say I could operate on anybody, but I could definitely tell you, how to take care of your voice. Because I do a lot of reading about the voice, vocal cords, and things of that nature.
Right.
And so those are the things that have helped me to preserve my voice and be able to sing songs in the same key that I did when I was in my 20s. Yeah.
So how long, when did you begin to take this type of approach? Because again, when I hear you saying the consistency of the vocals, man, it's there. Like it seems like you never missed a beat. Were you doing this back, during the Tower Power days, when you first started off as a solo artist? How long you been, going through this routine?
Well, it's really interesting because I was on tour with Natalie Cole, right? And I was recording, and I was on tour with Natalie and Teddy Pendergrass, and then I was recording. I was flying around, and my voice got kind of, I was having some issues, right? And so Stevie Wonder had this guy called Seth Riggs that he would send people to, or he recommend I go there. And so I go there, then he's giving, paying all this money for this vocal lesson, and he has you going, and I'm like, I used to do that when I was a kid, like, and my brother said, boy, you got some big lips, your lips already big, you have big lips doing that. And people paying, this guy $100 or $200 an hour. And I was like, man, I used to do that when I was 7 and 8, whatever. And so, unbeknownst to me, I was doing a vocal exercise, right?
Okay.
And so, but I just always kind of took care of my voice, even prior to Tower Power, and I played trumpet. So, I was just always concerned about the voice. But I just, I would see, be on tour, and I would see the OJs, and they'd wrap themselves up with towels and stuff.
Okay, see, I didn't know anything about that.
After the show, Eddie and Walt, as soon as they get off the stage, there's some towels, wrap it up and down on the chest and everything.
Right.
So they even, right on the side of the stage, right, and then, just reading that, the vocal, you should kind of be quiet sometimes, so I'd read about all the opera stars and what they did to preserve their voices and how sometimes that on the day of a show, they wouldn't even talk,
Whoa.
So I used to do that. And sometimes I kind of went overboard on it, but, but I just always just kind of like, kind of a safety first kind of person with the voice. I realized that it was, my gift, from God, and that I just, wanted to just really, really take care of it, and so that, I would continue to be blessed and have opportunities to use it.
I always said, and we're going to get into this later, but I always said, you and Rick, you guys had, as far as vocals, you guys never missed the beat. Like you, the way Rick sound and the way you sound, like it never changed. Like you guys still sound great after all these years. I remember when Rick came home and I saw him in concert just a little shortly before he passed, and I'm like, wow, he still sounds good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, Lenny, you and I always say you guys are my two favorite leads of Tower Power of all time. Rest in peace, Rick. But of course, you're my favorite. No disrespect to all the great Tower Power leads, but Lenny is that guy. You
I
know.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So look, let's go. We're gonna start from the beginning. Now you're originally from Arkansas, Lenny.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but you moved to the Bay Area. You know, I believe in your early teens.
Now, actually, I moved to the Bay Area when I was around about 13, 14 months old. Yeah.
Oh, okay. As an
infant. Yeah. Right,
as an infant. So you're pretty much from the Bay Area.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about the talk about growing up in the Bay Area during we're talking about the during the civil rights moment. What was it like? You know?
Yeah, I grew up in Oakland. I was born in 45, so I came out here probably like 40, 46, 47, something like that. And so basically, all my, years of growing up and, my early years were, just growing up in Oakland, kindergarten, preschool, all of that. Right. And so Oakland was a very interesting, was and still is a very interesting place. Had a lot of middle class blacks. It was kind of a melting pot because we had the Army base and a Navy base here in Oakland. No doubt. And so you had a lot of soldiers and people coming from all across the country. So they'd all bring their various, ideas and their cultures, their music and everything. They'd be passing through, and then a lot of them, decided to stay here. And so, so you had, different kinds of, cultures, from the East Coast, from the Midwest, definitely the South. And so those are the influences that I had. I grew up. I went to college with Huey Newton, Bobby Seale. My birthday's February 16th. Huey's is February 17th. We used to celebrate our birthdays together. Huey's a preacher's son, and those are the influences I had. Sylvester Stewart, Sly Stone. I grew up with the Stewart family, singing in church. The Hawkins family, Walter Edge from Maine. Odia Coates singing, they sang "Having My Baby" with Paul Anka. And then, as I got older, started to venture out, and a little city next to Oakland called El Cerrito. We hooked up with a kid by the name of John Fogerty. We had a little group called the Gollywogs, and eventually became Creedence Clearwater.
I was about to say, is it for John Fogerty with Creedence Clearwater, John and Tom?
Yeah, wow. Right, yeah. And then there were John, Tom, Stu, and Doug, right? And then I, met, people like Huey Lewis, had a group called Clover, and started hanging out with them.
You mean Huey Lewis, like Huey Lewis in the News?
Yes, right, yeah. He had a little band called Clover, goofing around with him. Jerry Garcia, from
Grateful Dead.
So
let's back up. Let's back up a little. We get a little ahead of ourselves, Lenny. Let's back up a little bit. So, again, like I said, you're one of my favorite vocalists of all time, and I feel like you have the catalog that displays that. So, what I want to know is, and what I feel like a lot of fans want to know, when did you realize that you have this very unique and special voice?
Well, I always sang. When my mom had us in church, and we'd sing in choirs and things like that, little choirs when I was 4 or 5 years old. And I never, was out front with it, because I was a little shy. And I started school early, so everybody was always older than me. And so I was kind of like, just in the background, And so, I went to a fairly large church, and like I said, I was just one of the the kids in the youth choir. But I would sing around the house and things like that. Then one of my friends, Jerry Butler, had a record out called "Your Precious Love," and I was a teenager, and so he asked me to sing it to this girl that lived on the other side of town, and she loved it, right? And
Your Precious Love.
Yes, right, and so then we were at church. I left the big church and went to a small church, and so then quite naturally you'll get a chance to use your talent. So then I started brother everybody called me Charles. That's my middle name. My dad's name is Leonard too. So my family called me Charles, and people who grew up with me called me Charles. And so they said, "Well, Brother Charles, can you sing an A and B selection?" So then I started using my voice.
Right.
And then they had a guy named Curtis Safford who was older than us, like in his 20s, early 20s, and he had gotten out of the Navy. And he was kind of like, everybody kind of gravitated to him. And he had a tape recorder. And all of us would go over there and we'd sing on the tape recorder. And he would say, "Everybody sounds good." He said, "But the tape recorder loves your voice." So then that's when I first kind of realized that I had something when he said that. He said the tape recorder just loves your voice, and so I was like, well, maybe I have something, you know. So that was when I had the first inclination that
No doubt.
you know, maybe I could you know, do something with my voice. Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, so you end up, you know, let's fast forward a little bit. You end up signing a deal with Fantasy Records, and you released your first two singles, Lisa's Gone and Feeling Blues,
Right.
I believe 1970, 1971, around that time.
Somewhere 69, 70, 71, somewhere around in there. Yeah.
Okay, so you so what led to you you know, signing with Fantasy Records? Because I believe at this time Fantasy Records was pretty new, if I'm not mistaken. I know they had the Blackbirds like a little bit later on. And,
right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That was where your Fantasy Records. They mostly did a lot of specialty records. You know, they did you know, Charlie Mingus and Wes Montgomery, the Wes Montgomery brothers, and different stuff like that. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was singing at a talent show every Thursday night. You know, I was going to college. And you know, and they was paying $20 if you won, and you know, that was a lot of money back then. You know, gas was your gas was 19 cents a gallon, so you can just imagine. You know, $20 you could ride, you fill your cars up with gas for 3 months almost. You know, so
No doubt.
So I was going on every Thursday night, and finally one night I was there, and a guy named Ray Shanklin, who worked for Fantasy Records, asked me if I wanted to make a record. So then I went over. That's when I met John and all those people like that. And then I made a couple records over there, and so you know, that was just kind of my start there. And I didn't have a band because I'd been in church, because I was like a teenage preacher too, right? I didn't tell you that. See, I was singing the choir, and I was a teenage preacher for a couple of years, and so then I did the records, and I think the second record I did, Feeling Blue, my neighbor asked me, she's like, well, when are you going to do a show? I said, I don't have a band. So she said, oh, the mailman. You know, she talked to the mailman. She's trying to get her boyfriend, right? She said, his side gig is that he manages bands. Okay. And so then I talked to him. He said, oh, I'm going to take you out to Fremont, California, which is a suburb of Oakland. Okay. And I'm going to hook you up with this little band called the Motown Soul Band. So he takes me out there, and I hook up with them. And we did a couple of things together, but half of them were still in high school, and the other half were just out of high school. Right. I was like, well, you know, I'm 21 years older. You know, I want to sing in clubs. So I kind of like put them on hold. And then I started hanging out with Larry Graham. And
now was Larry in the was he in Sly and the Family Stone at that time?
Yeah, he was in Sly and the Family Stone. So I was hanging out with Larry, and so then I started hanging out with him, and then we were writing songs, and then he was like, "We need to get some horns on this stuff, right?" So then he invites this band called Tower Power to come over, and then when they come to the door, I said, "Oh, these are little kids from the Motown Soul Band, right?" So then I reunite with them. And then I started writing for them, and then eventually I became the lead singer of the Tower Power.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because this is my favorite part of the Lenny Williams story. When did you know, like, what was it like when you first, you know, joined the band? I know Emilio Castillo, he's the you know, like the de facto leader of the group.
Right.
You know, prior to joining the band, you know, did you ever have the vision or the inclination of wanting to join the group? Because, you know, for the most part, you've been a solo artist.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit.
No, I was actually, you know, I'd written for the band. We used to hang out and everything like that. This guy, Louis Gordon, was their manager. And he's a real good friend of Sly's and Larry's and everybody else, right? Yeah, so, and he's real kind of flamboyant kind of dude, right? Okay. And so he would always say when I'd be around, hey, Lenny, why don't you get up and sing a song, sit in, right? You know, and then he's like, you ought to write for the guys, write with the guys. So then he started me to write with the guys and everything. And so I never thought about really joining the band. I just considered myself, just a singer, right. You know, and I just always thought of myself just being solo. Not that I had anything against being in the band. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I had, it was around that time that someone at Smokey had left the Miracles, and I'd gotten a phone call about maybe, you know, taking Smokey's place, right? Oh,
you almost beat Billy Griffin to the.
But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it because I didn't see myself being in a group, right? I didn't really see myself being in a group, so I turned that down, right?
Wow.
And so I never. So to answer your question, I didn't really see. I looked at Tower Power just like my friends, but I never saw myself as being in the group. And so I took off for a whole year traveling around with Sly, and Stein, the Family Stone, going all over the country with them, and Larry was going to produce me, and then all of a sudden, the band was breaking up. Stein Family Stone was breaking up, so all the songs that Larry was going to use for me, he wound up using them on the first Graham Central Station album.
Station, yeah.
So there went that, and then Rick Stevens, he was the lead singer of Child Power at that time, and he was banging heroin. And so they were having conflicts, and then they and then they're just having the natural problems that most bands have with singers anyway. Sometimes singers can, because they're out front, be a little arrogant or whatever. Or
now let me stop you for a second, Lenny, because again, I'm a huge Tower Power fan. I'm a huge fan of you, but I'm also a huge fan of Rick Stevens. So I watch interviews with you, but I never really hear anybody ask you, did you ever have like a relationship with Rick Stevens? Like, how was that transition? Because, at the time that you joined the group, the year before, the Bump City Project, they had like their biggest hit with You're Still a Young Man,
right?
Which was a smash. And, like you said, but Rick was having problems,
Right.
He was with drug use and things like that, things of that nature. So, back to my original question, like, did you ever have like a relationship with Rick, and how was that transition?
Yeah, well, I didn't hang out with Rick like every day on the phone, but I knew him and we talked and everything like that. So we had a cordial relationship. I remember being hanging out one night in San Francisco with Rick, and we were all hanging out, Carlos and Santana, a bunch of people, and I wound up in the car with me, Rick, Michael Carabello from Santana, and somebody, I think maybe Greg Adams, in Child Power. I wasn't in the band at that time, but then I remember people were passing around some heroin, the snort, right? And then I remember Rick was like handing it to me, and he says, because he's older than me, right? And he's like, yeah, and I was like, he could see that I was, cautious, and and I was, and he was like, oh no, brother, I wouldn't give you nothing that would hurt you, like that, And then I think about that sometimes, and I think that he, I look at his life. He wound up, being involved in a murder where 3 people got killed in one night, and he wound up spending, but
pretty much 30, like 40 years,
30, 40 years in prison, something like that, and then it was all because of the heroin. But I think at that time, he probably really meant that it wouldn't hurt you, because it's like, oh, what? At that time, he was doing the heroin, but he just came off a hit record.
Everybody was doing that as well.
He was dressing nice, riding nice, had girlfriends galore, so it's like, so I think that he really was, his state of mind was that, it's not gonna hurt you. Look at me, I'm riding, I'm riding the high wire, I'm riding the wave, and so I remember, wanting to fit in, and so I took it, and I kind of like faked like I had done it, right? You know what I mean? So we were all in the car and they're bouncing around and stuff, and everybody's talking, and I kind of like, faked it and passed it on, and then it never came back to me. Whenever it came back, I was like, I'm cool, right, like that, and but Rick and I, over the years, even while he was in prison, we would exchange letters. He would write to me all the time. I've got about maybe 15, 20 letters that Rick sent me, and I would, correspond with him, and we talk together and pray together. I would, write letters to try to, to the board to see about, trying to get him out and everything like that. And then when he came home, he called me and came out of the house, and I gave him an outfit to put on. I'm a little bigger than Rick, but and he did his first show, and I could tell he was a little nervous. He wanted me to go with him, right? Come on, go with me, man. We could sing. I said, no, it's your night. I don't want to go, and and we got to share, spotlight. Right. The spotlight be on you. You'll be okay. And so we just maintained a good friendship. It was really interesting. Either Rick was a very good actor, or he was, but he never ever exhibited any jealousy toward me.
I was
You
always
know,
curious about
yeah,
that
he
because I'm
never
like, man,
exhibited. I mean, if he had
guys,
it,
he came off a
if he had it,
smash. That
if
was
he had it, if
yeah,
he had it, if he was jealous or
yeah.
envious or whatever, he should have gotten an Academy Award because he never ever exhibited it. You know,
Right,
you
right.
just just never ever saw it. You know what I mean? And he was always encouraging to me, write me letters from prison, telling me, do this, do that.
Hmm.
I heard about this gig you had, and how you tore the house down, and
Right.
so proud of you, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of think that he felt that in a way that he was a conduit for me to
Mm,
to get to get to that get to where I am.
that plateau.
Yeah, right. That his exit and whatever was opening the door for me, and so in a way he felt like that he had something instead of looking at it as a negative. It's like, hey, I
Hmm.
I was there, and I left, and Lenny Williams came in, and and so I opened the door for him, so to speak, and so I think
So
that's the way he looked at it. Yeah,
so when when we're talking about that that crazy day 1972 when he ended up being charged with being convicted of a murder, I believe. He killed two people or something like that. I don't really want to go into details of that, but
yeah, he killed two
so
people, I think, and I think his friend Roy.
it was like a drug deal, went bad or something that
I think some people were gunning for him behind money
yeah.
and and I think the way he tells us that he went to talk, and somebody pulled a gun, and
Now was when he departed, when he ended up going to prison, did you guys already make that transition?
yeah, I was already in the band.
Okay.
I was in the band when I was in the band quite a while before all that happened.
Okay.
And it's really funny, my phone rings about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I answer it, and somebody said, "Man, the police looking for you." And what you doing? I'm like, "Shit, I'm laying in the bed. I'm asleep. You done woke me up." Man,
Whoa, so hold up. So Rick actually called you?
no, 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 no. Because when that murder went down, then they said,
Oh, they was looking for
lead,
Rick.
yeah, they're looking for Rick. On the news, they're saying the lead singer of Tower Power. They wasn't
Oh, and they
saying
thought it
like,
was you.
yeah, they didn't say the ex-lead singer or
Right,
something
right,
like that.
right.
They just said, oh, the lead singer of Tower Power,
Right.
instead of saying the former lead singer. So then they, everybody's calling me,
Right.
mama, daddy, cousins,
Right.
friends, neighbors, everybody,
How did you take that when you heard that news? Were you surprised? Because again, I just heard how you talked about Rick. Did you ever see something like that, being possible involved, as far as like Rick being involved in something like that?
No, but I mean, I grew up in Oakland, and got family that that was doing things,
Right.
and when it comes to dealing, with a place where there are no laws,
Right.
it's not governed by, you go down to Safeway to the store or to Kroger's or whatever, and you buy some
Right.
milk and it's spoiled, you take it back and they give you your money back, and and whatever,
Right.
but you're dealing with substances, that are
Mhm.
illegal,
Right.
and you say it ain't no good, I
Right.
want my money back, then the dude that gave it to you is like, oh, you done, where is it? You use it up, but you said it ain't no good. You know what I mean? You want your money back?
Yeah.
No. So then then anything can happen.
The
So
Wild Wild West.
yeah, right. So I mean, so that
Yeah.
when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, anything could happen.
No doubt. No
Even a
doubt.
person who's the nicest person in the world
No
could
doubt.
wind up killing somebody, or even if it's self-defense,
Okay.
or that you get so wound up on the drugs that
Right.
it brings something out in you that So I would say if you involved in drugs, then anything could
Anything
happen.
can happen.
Right, you
Yeah.
could be the nicest, kindest person in the world, but drugs and money could present scenarios that would cause you to hurt somebody or somebody to hurt you. Yeah,
No doubt, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So again, let's talk about you know that time. That was a very special time period. We're talking about the early '70s. You got the Grateful Dead. You got Santana. You have Sly and the Family Stone. You know, what was it like to be in the midst of all of that during that time? Because you know, that was a very special time as far as like music of the Bay Area. What was that like?
Well, you know, I was telling somebody the other day. It's like, you know, it's not like today. You got cell phones. You taking pictures all the time. You know,
Right.
But I was just navigating. You know,
Right.
I was, you know, in my early 20s, and I was just trying to find my way. So if I wound up hanging out with Carlos, you know, he's just another dude to me. You know, he was doing more than I was doing, or if I was around, you know, Grateful Dead or Crosby, Stills, and Nash or whomever, you know, they was just, you know, everybody's just trying to make it, you know. So it's like, so I didn't really look at it like it was rock and roll and we were doing something historic. You know, I'm trying to get on, and then once I got on, I'm trying to stay on.
Right.
And so I didn't, you know, I remember just the other day we were talking about, I remember flying on Bill Graham's FM plane and, you know, with Carlos Santana and Bill Graham on there and stuff like that. And it was just another day to me.
Wow.
But, you know, now that I look back at it, I said, oh man, I was, you know, yeah.
That was historic.
You know, that was historic, you know, being around the Chambers brothers or,
Man.
you know, whatever, you know, and,
Yeah.
but, you know, so I was just, you know, like I said, I was navigating, you know, I was trying to, you know, to be a professional, trying to, you know, make a name for myself, desperately trying not to get, you know, I mean, it was an everyday thing. It's like, you know, I don't want to get hooked on no drugs,
No
you know,
doubt.
but every time you turn around, boom, it was all in your face. It was all,
Right.
it was in the band. It was in Tower Power, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My bandmates, I mean, we, you know, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, oh yeah, somebody from Houston, we were talking about rap, and it's like, how, you know, screw music came from Houston, you know, the boys.
Right.
I said, no, y'all didn't invent screw music. They said, who did? I said, Tower Power. They said, man, y'all didn't invent no screw music. I said, yes, we did. And they said, how'd you do that? I said, because we had about 4 guys mainlining heroin in the band, and you get there, and Garibaldi trying to keep it. What is hip? Tell me. What you think? You know, then by the
That's
second
the
verse,
drummer, right?
yeah, right. Yeah, he trying to keep it up, right? Because he clean and sober, right? He trying to keep that beat up. By the time we get to if you really hip, you know, it doesn't slow down, and you know. And I said, you know, because you say, oh, the heroin boys scored, you know, they scored, you know, they came to a city where you know they had the connection, you know. So you know, it's kind of, you know, funny now, but
guys were young though. I guess you know it was kind of hard for. You know, like I said, Amelia, I know he was the leader of the group, but I guess it was kind of hard for him to just, you know, keep everybody, you know, under wraps, you know.
Well, everybody was doing it. You know, I mean, I wasn't.
Right.
But I mean, Lenny Pickett wasn't. David Garibaldi wasn't.
Mm.
But everybody else.
Chester.
I mean, Chester wasn't. You know, I mean, but I mean, you know, but people were, you know, I mean, there was different degrees. You know,
Right.
I mean, I smoked weed.
Right.
You know, I didn't drink. I did pills.
Okay.
Some people was doing, you know, Quaaludes.
Mm.
You know, people, you know, you had the heroin boys, you had the cocaine boys, you had the boys that was doing speedballs, you know, mixing heroin and cocaine together.
Right.
And so, you know, it didn't matter, leader, non-leader, whatever, you know, the crew, you know.
Nobody was exempt.
It was rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, it was life. I had, you know, 2 sons,
Mm.
and it's like, you know, and I'd always, you know, I mean, I grew up throwing the newspaper and, you know, selling Jet magazines, you know, and I'm reading every time I open the Jet, they talking about, you know, somebody overdosing or whatever, you know.
This is when you joined was like right after Jimi Hendrix passed, I believe.
Right. Yeah. I remember getting on the plane and. You know, and when Leonard Skinner and them, you know, their airplane crashed, you know, it's just like, you know, people was dying all the time. Janis Joplin, you know what I mean? And just Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, you just name it, just people dying all the time. So, you know, well, my focus was, I got to keep on living. I can't die out here, just like a common drug addict,
Right.
So I'm trying to stay away from that. It's
No
like,
doubt.
okay,
No doubt.
I smoke a little weed, but that was, just put my foot in the 3 feet, and but I wasn't going anywhere, 6 feet, 9 feet,
No doubt. Not messing with the yeah.
I wouldn't handle, just wouldn't go there, and so as a consequence, I'm always on my P's and Q's, just I walk into a room and I see it, I'm trying to make my exit. I gotta be diplomatic about it,
Right.
Because you got to get along with people, and
Right.
so you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable around you. But there were people like Lenny Pickett. He was just, he was like, he didn't do it, and he, would be vocal about the fact that
Right.
he didn't like it or whatever, and so. So that was my my thing. I didn't realize at the time that I was doing something, historic or
Right.
legendary. It's like this is just everyday living. Like I'm
Mhm.
living in the hood. You're living in the hood. You go over there. That's where them youngsters are that that might rob you, or you
Right.
go
Right.
over here. Just what something else is happening. You know what I
There's
mean?
a lot going on.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
you
Yeah.
also had the Black Panther Party was really powerful at that time, and like you said, you were friends with Huey Newton and Bobby Seale.
Mhm.
What was those relationships like? Did you ever feel like you was conflicted? Being a recording artist and seeing what's going on within the community. Talk about that a little bit.
But I was involved in the community. I had worked with youth groups and things like that, and things of that nature. I walked tall and I walked erect. So I was, I tried to be a beacon. Someone that young kids could aspire to be.
Right.
But I mean, there were times when I felt like, well, maybe I'm a little too NAACP-ish, or a little too Martin Martha King-ish,
Yeah.
and maybe I should be a little more Malcolm X's or a little more Black Panther. But I had relationships with Huey, especially. We were very, very close friends. And we talked about it, and but Huey realized that a lot of times everybody has a position, on the football field. Everybody's got a position. Somebody's a guard. Somebody's linebacker. So
Right.
it's just different positions, and so maybe my position was to be a singer. Huey loved music. He played piano a little bit.
Right.
Everything like that. So he loved music, and he realized that music was a way to kind of work on on race issues and things of
Right.
that nature. And so he felt like that was my assignment. So I didn't have that. The pressure that I may have been pressure that I put on myself.
Right.
Examining myself and just saying, well, maybe I should be a little more militant, or. But then, even in wars, you have generals who sit down after a certain part of the war, with the general from the opposition,
Right.
and they sit down and write treaties and shake hands and have a cognac together, So so that's felt like that was what I was supposed to do, and I supported in other ways, financially. Doing shows, just lending my moral support. Yeah.
That's interesting. So here we go. 1973. You guys released your first album.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not this one right here. I thought it was this one right here, the one behind me.
Right.
But it's over there. I'm not going to reach for it. But the 1973 at the time that your brother Larry Graham was releasing Graham Central Station. Their first project, you guys were releasing the very first Lenny Williams projects, Lenny Williams led project, which was the self-titled Tower of Power album. So talk about the direction going into that album. What was that like, putting that first project
together? It was really
together?
interesting because I had taken off a whole year from work, and I was getting ready to go back to Ford Motor Company, and I just happened to call Emilio one night, just because I knew they were having problems with Rick, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
and he had offered me the gig a couple of times, and I had turned it down. And
Okay.
I think I turned it down one time, and one time I accepted it, and then they got a little nervous and just decided to stick with Rick. And so I just happened to go to the studio, and I was supposed to go back to work that Monday. It was the weekend, and I called Mimi on the phone, and he's like, "Yeah, come on, man, we're working on our album." I go over, I hear this whole album. It sounds great, right? And I sat up with him all night till like 5:30, 5:45 in the morning.
Wow.
And I drove back to Oakland from San Francisco. And I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, "Nope, I got to go back to work Monday,
So you had a job. I thought you was like a full-time singer. Like this is what you was doing.
Oh, no, I had a job, those early records that I did with Fantasy. And then I took off for a whole year and traveled around with Sly, thinking that, either Sly or Larry's going to, produce me.
Okay.
And then that didn't happen. And then I was like, well, the guys from Tower Power have been after me about singing with them. So
Right.
I called Mimi. I didn't ask him anything. I just thought that maybe he might just say,
Right.
hey, he didn't say nothing. So then I just went home and, getting ready to go to work that Monday because I'd been off for a whole year. And so then the phone rang, and it was Mimi. He's like, "Hey, man, we still having problems with Rick. Do you want the gig?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." And so then I went back, but Rick had his whole voice on the record. And they had taken the picture for the album cover and everything.
Wow, hold on. This is an exclusive right here. I had no idea. Because I'm the biggest Tower Power fan there is. I had no idea. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so he had they were mixing the record. He had finished doing the vocals, everything. They were getting ready they were in the process of mixing the record. And they had already taken the album cover shot, done the liner notes, everything. And so...
Hold up, time out, lady, time out. So Rick originally sang "So Very Hard to Go."
Everything's what is hip.
It's time is real. What is hip?
Yeah, all that. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So then what happened was I said, well, take everything off. I don't even want to hear. I don't want to hear his voice anymore. I don't want to hear what he did because I don't want to be influenced by it. I want to do my own thing.
Gotcha.
So I just re-sang everything. They put the record out, right? So the record's out, bam, it's hitting. So very hard to go see. So I'm going to my friend's house, right? I stop at the liquor store, get me a 7-Up or something. And
hold up, Lenny. You just skimmed over that part because you said they put the record out.
Okay, let me tell you this. I'm telling you a story, right?
Okay,
they put the record out. So Very Hard to Go is
I was just about to get to that. Go
ahead.
Yeah,
right. It's running up the charts. It's a hit, right? So then they got the album. Then the album comes out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the liquor store. That's back in the day when you could go to like a liquor store and they had a rack there with records on it, right? So I see the record. So I'm walking over there with my chest stuck out and I look at it. And, they had them little caricatures of the people. It was like they took a picture of it, but they kind of drew it like it's little characters, right? And who's right in the middle but Rick? His picture.
Wow.
So then I pick up the album, I turn it around. It's got my name on the back. And it said lead vocals Lenny Williams. So then I go to a payphone. This is pre-cell phone, pre-beepers, pre-all of that, right? And I call my manager, because I had a different manager. Tower Power had a manager. I had a manager who just, I had before I was in Tower Power, and I kept my manager. I called her, tell her, she gets on the phone, calls Warner Brothers. Then they's like, oh, stop the presses. Let's make sure that all future albums have Lenny's picture on there. And so then what I didn't do, which I should have done, was buy everything on that rack because those are collector's items now, right?
Wow, I never knew that. I swear I never knew that.
Yeah.
I would love to see that album cover because the only album cover I know of is the, like you said, the one that have the caricatures of all you guys, and you're clearly on that one,
right? Yeah. So what they did was they just took Rick out, put me right there.
Okay.
Took his picture out and put my picture right there. And somehow or another, somebody let a few albums get out that had Rick still there, his picture. But I'm singing on the record. My name's on the back of the record on all the liner notes and everything, but that picture was right there. Right.
Soon we finish this interview, I'm running straight to eBay, straight to Discogs, straight to Amazon. I gotta find that. I gotta find that.
Now you gotta let me have it now. Yeah,
I gotta have that one. That's the only.
Well, get two if you see them, right? Yeah, baby.
No doubt. I got you, Lenny. I got you. So look, here we go. 1973. The first hit off this album is one of my favorite Tower of Power songs of all time. So Very Hard to Go. That one went number 17 on the pop charts, number 11 on the R&B charts, which is amazing, you know. So talk about that. Like, did you expect that? Because as big of a hit as You're Still a Young Man was, it didn't reach that high on the charts as So Very Hard to Go. So you surpassed, you know, I'm just being honest, you surpassed Rick in that regard. So talk about that. You know, how did you feel about that that song, and talk about the making of it. Talk about the making of it.
It was success. It's like, you know, coming up from the minor leagues and you know, you hit a home run, you know,
right.
You know, and you win the game. You know, it's like, oh man, you know, the rookie did it. Yeah, so it was awesome. You know,
that is a classic album. I love that album. I was listening to that earlier this morning while working out, and I normally don't work out to R&B projects. I normally listen to, you know, hip hop, something upbeat. Right. But I swear that is one of my favorite debuts by a lead vocalist in a band of all time. I mean, you also had This Time Is Real, of course, What Is Hip. So what's your favorite track on that first project? You know, what was the song you enjoyed recording the most and performing the most on that first project?
Probably, so I'd have to say So Very Hard to Go, because it was a hit. You know, it introduced me to the world, and you know, very special song. You know, excellent writing, everything. You know, it was just perfect for my voice. Matter of fact, Emilio says that when he was writing the song, he was thinking about me, because I was hanging out with the band a lot.
Right.
Like I said, and I wrote on Bump City album, and actually I wrote a song on that Tower Power album, not even knowing that eventually that I was going to be in the band.
Wow.
I can't even think of the name of the song, but
I think you did Clever Girl. Did you do?
I sang Clever Girl. I didn't write that though, but it was one of the songs on there. I can't think what you know.
Yeah, I know you got a couple of songwriting credits on that album.
Songwriting on the Back to Oakland album.
This one right here. Yeah. So look, you know, like that, like I said, that album I believe went gold.
Well, eventually, it didn't go gold until after I left. Right? It eventually went gold. Right? Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. I thought that album went gold around that time.
No.
Man, so you know, so what was it like? You know, like I said, you know, you joined a band. I believe you and Chester Thompson was like the only brothers in the band.
Right.
So you know, what was when you joined the band? Did you ever have like a vision of possibly, you know, changing a couple of things, of incorporating your style or your swagger or what have you? Because, you know, they had their own thing going on, you know, as far as this Blue Eyed Soul, and it was great. Not gonna lie, it was great. But Lenny was Lenny. So talk about that, and talk about incorporating your style and what you do with what the guys of Tower Power did. You know.
Well, I mean, I was hood. I was black. You know, and I mean, even more so than I think. I mean, it's like how do you say somebody's blacker than somebody else? But I think my experience, Rick and I both our experiences were similar. You know, I was talking to him, and I didn't realize that when he was a teenager that he was in the California Youth Authority. You know, prison for youth, and I was too.
Now, Rick is from Arizona, right?
I think Rick. I don't know exactly where Rick's from, but I think he lived up in Reno, Nevada. Yeah, he lived in Nevada when he was younger. Then he came out here and went to school. We went to the same school. Me, him, and Rufus Miller all went to the same school.
Oh, that's That's the lead singer that came a couple of albums after you.
No, Rufus Miller was the first lead singer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Rufus Miller. Right. Yeah, he was the first lead.
That's singer. On the East Bay Grease project.
Right. Yeah. East Bay Grease. He sang every song on East Bay Grease except for Sparkling in the Sand. Rick sang that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So So all of us went to the same, grew up in the same neighborhood, which is really kind of interesting. But so Rick and I had, similar upbringings, but I don't think that Rick went to church as much as I did. And so I think that I brought a little bit more, the churchy feeling. And then I had, I wasn't too much of an integrator because I had, during that time period, prior to being in Tower Power, I was doing a lot of reading of Elijah Muhammad. I was, with Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. Although Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, a lot of people think of Black Panther Party as being this violent, all-black organization. But you could go by the Panther headquarters sometimes, there'd be more white people in there than it was black people, Though they weren't.
And that's what I meant, like the conflict,
Yeah, right.
Being in a band, with you and Chester, only brothers in the group. And that's what I meant, like, was there ever any conflict?
There wasn't very much conflict in the band, really, around race. Matter of fact, I remember when I first got in the band, Chester and I first got in the band, me, Chester, and Bruce Conti all joined the band around about the same time, on that album, right? And so I guess the obvious thing that people would do is like to put Chester and I in this, because back then, the band was still struggling. So everybody, we doubled up. In the rooms. Everybody had a roommate, right? So the obvious thing would be that me and Chester would stay together. So, so they didn't want to do that. It's like, the two black guys over there. So Greg Adams was my first roommate. And it's really interesting. During that time period, I used to use Magic Shave. The shave.
They had, hold on. They had Magic Shave back then, Lenny?
Oh, man, shit. Yes, they did. Right. So I was using Magic Shave. That stuff stink, It's like chitlins, And so Greg, I would never try to use it when Greg would be in the room. So like he'd go off and be writing a charge or something with Mimi. And then I'd use my Magic Shave. He'd come back in the room. And I remember the first time he came back in the room, he was like, oh! He was gagging, carrying on. So, that was kind of interesting. So, but we managed, Greg and I managed, and then eventually Chester and I did wind up being roommates. It was just easy, it was just, it was just easy, being Chester's roommate, just because who Chester is, and then the fact that we both are, African American, just made it even more like it was the right thing to do, right? You
still talk to Chester?
I do, yeah. Not not every day, but I talk to him. Yeah, we still have a relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So look, let's fast forward. Here we go. And I'm not gonna go through every album, Lenny, just letting you know. Okay. But I gotta get to some of these signature albums.
Okay.
So look, the next album. Here we go. My favorite album, Tower Power.
Okay.
That Back to Oakland. This is my baby right here. So here we go. 1973. I think both of these albums came out the same year, if I'm not mistaken. Or did this come out in 74?
I think it came out 74. Yeah.
Okay. So Back to Oakland. Matter of fact, yes, 1974. So we got Don't Change Horses in the Middle of a Stream. We have Time Will Tell. Some classic records came off this project right here. And what I also noticed, you started to do, I noticed that I see your name a little more in the songwriting. So talk about that, Yeah,
well, I think it was just a natural progression because I was writing for the band on two of their prior albums, before I got in the band. And actually, like on the Tower Power album, I wasn't even in the band when I wrote that song. And so I don't think that, they, Mimi and Doctor were the primary writers, and so I guess the way that they envision their band, I wouldn't have been writing a lot of songs prior to being in the band, but once I got in the band, then I'm saying, okay, I want to sing some of the stuff that I'm feeling, and so I kind of put my stamp on on the songwriting. I didn't just take it over and write all the songs. But I think I wrote about 4 songs or something like that on the Back to Oakland album. I wrote Don't Change Horses with Johnny Guitar Watson, and just when we started making it with Mimi and Doctor, and I can't think of other songs.
Oh man, that's my favorite Tower of Power. So now that is my number one favorite Tower of Power song of all time,
What,
right
just
there.
when we start making it?
Just when we start making, when them horns come in,
and
this was, you know, when you mentioned earlier about you know, that first album originally being done with Rick vocals, and you was talking about like So Very Hard to Go. I could see where you probably added, you know, your own that Lenny, that thing that Lenny do with the, you know, like when I think of like So Very Hard to Go, I can hear Rick on it, but I can hear the parts on the song where I know you added those vocal acrobats, I like to call, you know, like that. When did you develop those things, like those ad libs that you do? And you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go ahead and try to repeat what you do, because I'm nowhere near the singer that you are. But how did you develop that style that we know and love? You know, when did that come about?
Well, I think I had a band. I had a small band prior to being in Tower Power. Maybe like a year, year and a half before I got in Tower Power. We were doing a lot of playing. So I was singing a lot of songs. I was singing, you know, what's on the radio.
Right.
Every time something new would come out, I'm singing it.
Pop 40 stuff.
Yeah, right. So then I noticed it when I'm singing an Al Green song or Eddie Kendrick song or you know, a Spinner song. There were certain things that I would do. Hey, you know,
there we go.
You know, different stuff like that. So then I said, okay, that's me. You know what I mean? You know, I love you so. I'm starting to notice that no matter what song, OJ song, Spinner song, Temptation song, I'm doing this.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right. So then, you know, that's me interjecting, you know, myself, you know, and so then I'm saying, okay, that's what I do. And then, you know, then you just let the music kind of lead you to, you know,
that's amazing.
To do what you want to do, you know, or do what you feel. And I think because of being a preacher and you know, growing, you know, and you know, being in a church where you let the spirit take over, so to speak, that you know, it was kind of spiritual. Plus, I had been, you know, I've been on this journey, you know, for I think since I was like 20, when I decided that I was going to make singing my profession. And so I think, so that was what, 73. So I was, you know, so I guess, you know, maybe I've been doing it for I was only on a four or 5 year quest to make this happen. And so when I finally got the opportunity, I got a record company behind me, a band behind me, you know, marketing and sales. It's like, you know, it just all came out. You know, it's like this is my shot. You know, so everything that I had learned, or every little lick that you know, that I had, you know, learned by osmosis, you know, from all the singers that I was singing their songs, just kind of came out, and it, you know, and it would, you know, I internalized it, and then when it came back out, it, you know, it came out, you know, my interpretation of Sam Cooke or Philip Wynne or, you know, Eddie Kendricks or David Ruffin or whomever, you know, Lloyd Price. You go all the way back, you know, to
Billy Eckstine,
you know, Billy Eckstine, all of that, you know, Arthur Prysock, you know, you just name it, all the people that I had listened to my whole life.
I had to ask about that, because I you're known for those you know, those unique ad libs and those vocal acrobats, man. So, you know, I'm glad that you got an opportunity to share that with us. So, you know, let's fast forward a little bit. We go talk about this this Urban Renewal project. I believe that was the last project that you did with Tower Power. And you know, I noticed things. That project sound a little different, and when I mean it sounded a little different as far as the content, the substance. You know, you guys talked a little bit. That album sounded a little bit more social conscious, a little bit more political than the previous two projects. You know, you got songs like "There's Only So Much Oil in the Ground," and you know, songs like that. So, whose direction was that to go? You know, whose idea was to go in that direction
Well, I purposely made up my mind that I wasn't going to do very much writing on that record because I knew that I was going to be leaving the band. And then I've been writing a lot with Mimi and Doctor, right? And so I think on that which record did we do that was Willing to Learn? Was Willing to Learn?
That's on Urban Renewal.
Yeah, right. Okay. And so when they brought Willing to Learn to me, I was like, wow, I could have written that record, right? So I was thinking, it's sort of like timing between, say, Jerry Rice and Montana, or Jerry Rice and Young, that when he do this, he fixing to run this route, and he gonna be over there. You know what I mean?
That's Bay Area talk. That's more Bay Area talk.
Yeah, right. Or anybody. We could say, name it.
But you had to go to the 49ers, though.
Right. Well, I'm a Raider fan, so I'm just talking about excellence right now. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. So I could go back to Daryl LaMonica and Warren Wells or
Biletnikoff.
Or Biletnikoff, or right? Yeah, Fred or something like that. So but nobody out there on that whole field know. But that when his hand dropped, whatever, that that he fixing to do this and then do that. You know what I mean? And so I said, wow, I felt like that I was becoming so predictable to them that they could write my songs without me even being in the room, right? So I said, it's time for me to back off because I know I'm going to be leaving. And I want to take that with me because that's going to be my pathway to success, my songwriting, and my expression of my songwriting. But I can't give it away, And so I just made a cerebral decision not to write. I think I only wrote maybe one song or two songs on that album, and I just said I just go with whatever was presented to me, and I, sing it, my heart out. And I think I really did that on Willing to Learn. I mean, that's like one of my favorite Tower Power songs.
I love that song.
It's funny, I remember one time I was riding, and after I left Tower Power, and I was I gave me a little band out of New Orleans, and we were riding down the road, had done a gig, and heading to the next town about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I hear this song on the radio, right? And I was like, oh. I said I used to be a teenage preacher, so in the Bible they talk about this guy that was at the pool. I think it's called the pool of the Bethsaida or something like that. And every time he wanted to go, the water would stir, and if you got in the water, you would be healed, right? And he was crippled, and he never could get in the water.
No doubt.
And so Jesus passed by and said, "Well, wilt thou be made whole? You want to be made whole?" And he's like, "Yeah, but every time I get ready to get in the water, somebody gets in there before me, and I can never get made whole, right?" So then I made that personal. So I'm trying to get a hit record, right? After I leave Tower Power. So I'm riding down the freeway, down the road, this country road, and I hear this song, right? And I'm saying, that's a bad song. I said, I wonder who that youngster is, right? And I say, here's another youngster that then got in front of me. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be the next cat, that's got a hit. And this youngster, whoever he is in front of me. Then the chorus comes on, and it's Willing to Learn, and it's me. So I was like, oh damn. I'm thinking that, but this has got to be this is a bad little dude, right? And I forgot the song, right? And then it's like, oh my God, that's me. That's me, 5 years ago or 7 years ago or whatever, right? Yeah, so it was really
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So you end up, so was that transition pretty smooth? Because, when you end up leaving Tower Power, you end up putting out your first solo project on Warner Brothers, the Pray for the Lion album.
Right.
But they was also still recording on Warner Brothers as well.
Right. Yeah, the Pray for the Lion album wasn't a commercial success. I was still with Tower Power when I did that. And then I did the Rise, Sleep, and Beauty album
on Motown.
Well, actually, I did it while I was still with Warner Brothers, and then when I left, they gave it to me. Oh
man, another exclusive.
Yeah, they gave it to me. Part of my package to leave, my exit package was, I think they gave me, I don't know, $25,000-$30,000, plus they gave me the record, and then I went to Motown, and Motown gave me $65,000, and I just gave them that record, which was already finished,
right?
And that record had
"Cause I Love You"
on it,
yeah,
but it didn't have the talking in it,
didn't have none of that. It was much shorter.
And it was much shorter, and it was a little faster too. Yeah, it was a little faster, right?
Did Frank Wilson, did he produce that one?
No, I did that myself. Me and Chester produced that album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, who produced the Pray for the Lion project?
Eugene McDaniels.
Used to work with Roberta Flack.
Roberta Flack, right? He will Feel Like Making Love, and he wrote the song 100 Pounds of Clay.
Okay. So here we go. You know, you dropped the Rise Sleeping Beauty album. You know, really wasn't a lot of hits off that project, but I still believe that it was a solid project. The vocals were still intact.
Right.
And now we going and you end up signing with ABC Records. And at this time, ABC was on fire. They had Steely Dan, they had the Four Tops, they had the Dramatics.
The Floaters.
Exactly.
Tom Petty.
Floaters, Tom Petty. We can go on and on and on.
Crusaders. Right?
Yeah. So talk about that, because this project, the next two projects that I'm about to talk about is pure Lenny Williams greatness. And I'm talking about that Choosing You project, that first ABC project.
Right.
What do you think about that? And what led to, do you feel like this was the coming out party for Lenny Williams?
Well, it was really funny. I had the Earth, Wind, and Fire came to town, and they were doing a show, and I think they had Bruce on the show or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to that show, and I had put out the Pray for the Lion, and it didn't happen. I put out the Rise, Sleeping Beauty, and it didn't happen. And so I was there, and somebody walked up to me and said, "Man, you should have never left Tower Power, right?" And then I started thinking about it. I said, maybe they're right, And
okay.
So I remember being really kind of dejected, and then my manager, I had asked Suzanne to pass if I could leave Motown, and she was like, "Well, why do you want to leave?" I just said, "I don't know. I just want to just be loose. I just think I could. If I'm loose, I don't have any pressure on me. I just be creative, So she let me go, and then my manager called me and said that ABC was interested in me coming over.
Who was running ABC at that time?
Otis Smith was at ABC over the black department. And, eventually Otis Smith left and he got Beverly Glenn Records and he did the big Bobby Womack.
Thank you, love me that. Yeah.
And Anita Baker, he did the first couple of Anita Baker records.
With Angel and all them songs.
Yeah. Right. So he was, he was a hell of a record man.
Mm-hmm.
So Otis Smith wanted me.
Right.
And so then I go over there and then they said they're going to, Lenny, you produced your last two records. I don't want you to produce the records. And so it was an easy sell for me. I was like, okay. And he said, I'm going to hook you up with Frank Wilson. And so I said, okay. So the first song that Frank Wilson sent me was Riding the High Wire. So it was R&B-ish. It had a nice little message to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is nice. This is, and then I think the next
Now, let me stop you for a second. Please don't forget your thought. I just want to interject for the fans. At this time, Frank Wilson was on fire. For those who don't know, at the time he was producing for Eddie Kendricks and he produced for the Temptations and all that. So Frank Wilson, rest in peace, he was on fire. So
he was on fire, right?
He was on fire. Go ahead and continue, brother.
So then, I talked to Frank and I was telling him that I wanted to, and I think the next record he sent me was like "Look Up With Your Mind."
Look up with your mind.
Yeah, right. So it's R&B.
I love
that. Great chorus, everything. I said, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to sing this black music with something that's what's happening right out the hood, right? You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And so, but I did tell him that I wanted to write some of the songs, right? So he said, okay, whatever you write, I'm, and my songs, your songs, everybody's songs gonna go in, in the pot, and we're gonna pick the best songs, don't carry your feelings, in your feet, just be willing to, trust me and trust the process. So I sent him Choosing You. He loved it.
Choosing
right,
you.
Yeah. Matter of fact, that was my first song that I wrote on guitar all by myself. I'd written songs with other people, playing the little guitar, and then I kind of handed it off to them.
Who were some of the musicians on that project?
Ray Parker Jr., Paul Jackson Jr., Wawa Watson, Jim Gatson, just all the bad cats. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think James Jamerson.
Bass.
The senior and junior. Lakeside singing background. They was trying to make they would just come to LA trying to make it, and singing background.
Yeah, because I believe their first project was on ABC Records too. I think it was going by another name though, I believe.
Yeah, right. And so Lakeside and singing background and stuff like that.
And talk about that shooting foo hoo hoo.
Yeah, right.
Yo, what does that mean? Like, I always wanted to know, how did you guys, how did Frank come up with that, or you? How did y'all come up with that?
Me and a friend of mine named Bernard Thompson wrote that. It was really funny because at that time, Natalie Cole was hitting, and she had a shuffle, and then Lou Rawls had a shuffle. He was on Philly International, and he had a shuffle. And I was like,
now, when you mean a shuffle, explain that to us. Because when I think of shuffle, I think of like
This Time It's Real was a shuffle. Dun, 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 dun,
Okay, I think of what's the guy? He's from here. The Hustle. I think of songs like that. Is that considered like a shuffle?
Lady Love.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And and so
kind of disco-ish, kind
of.
Gotcha.
So I called my friend Bernard Thompson. He lived in San Diego, which is about an hour and a half from Hollywood. And I was like, man, I'm down there recording. Why don't you come down, bring your guitar, and let's write a song. Right. So he came down, and so I'm thinking about myself. I just got in town and I'm looking around, trying to get something going. Yeah, I lick my finger, put it up in the wind, and see which way my fate is blowing.
Yeah,
I'm walking through Hollywood, trying to find something good. Whatever. Then I get to the chorus and I'm like, what am I gonna say? So I'm thinking, so we're doing a shuffle, so maybe I'll scat. So I didn't do like the traditional scat, but I said shoo foo foo foo, shoo foo 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 foo, and then boom up. And it's funny. We wrote that, and I called Frank up and went down to the studio. He was down to the studio, gave it to him. He said, "I love it," and then 2 days later, we were recorded, and a couple months later, it was out.
The rest is history.
One of the charts, right?
Yeah,
so it was like we had like an assembly line going. It was like the music business. It was flowing.
Yeah. That album I love. Like I said, man, so many great songs. Shoot a foo foo ooh. Look up with your mind, choosing you. I mean, every song on that first album, and this is the sleeper song. This is the sleeper song to me. I've been away from love too long.
Yeah. My son, my baby son loves that. First of all, I'm just a lonely man. My phone's ringing day and night. You might say I'm really popular. Beautiful thing that's filled my life. Yeah. My son loves that song. Like
man.
Art Powell and
man, you sound like it's 1977, Lenny. I swear.
I'm trying to think Art Posey and Joseph Powell wrote that. Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And they were great songwriters. Yeah, and
great album.
Yeah,
great album. Even down to the last track. The last two tracks, "Trust in Me" and "Problem Solver." Not a dud on that song, man. Mm-hmm. Shout out to you and shout out to the late Frank Wilson, man. Gotta say that, man. You guys put together a phenomenal project. So. Right. Let's go to the next album, Spark of Love. 1978. Now this one, right. You're thinking, how could he top this one? Because this is a really good album. How could Lenny top this? Mm-hmm. Here he come with Spark of Love. And this album, the first single, the first single, the song, the biggest hit on that album wasn't the first single. So talk about that.
Yeah, I think the first it was a Midnight Girl. I think I'm not
Midnight
sure.
Girl. Midnight
right.
Girl was the first single,
that
which
was written by Frank, Terry McFadden, and I can't think of this other guy's name, but John Footman, right? I think, and they wrote that.
They wrote a lot of. All three of them used to write a lot for Eddie.
Right. Then I think You Got Me Running was on there.
You Got Me Running.
Got Me Running, right. Clay Drayton wrote that song. I think him and Terry McFadden.
Okay.
And then I'd been on the road singing "Cause I Love You," right? It was really funny when I did.
Talk about that. Hold on, we gotta stop for a second. Talk about the origins of that song, because again, that song was originally on 1975's Rise Sleeping Beauty. It was a shorter version. But talk about that. Give us the origin of that song.
Well, so I did that song. It was really funny. Willie Sparks, who was the original drummer in Graham Central Station, so him and Larry got into it, and Larry fired him. He quit, whatever. I think it was a combination of both. So, Willie started playing with me. And so Willie was like, man, I'm really a funk drummer, and I like to play hard and loud. And, you sing a lot of ballads. So I think I'm probably not, the best guy for you. Right. He said, but, man, if I was you, that song, "Cause I Love You," he said, man, I'd slow that song down and I put some talking in it. And then, Willie was real arrogant, he was ho, right?
You know what? Yeah.
And so I just, kind of dismissed what he said. But then I went on the road and I was singing it, right? And then I don't know if I was thinking about what he said. I guess in a way I did was, and we slowed it down, put some talking in it. And so then this is between the Rise Sleeping Beauty album and Choosing You,
right?
And then so I perfected that song. I mean, it was like, I could just sing it at shows and people just go crazy, right? So I'm telling Frank about it. I said, man, I got this song and I sing it, and and he said, well, is that the one you don't want? I said, no, it's the same song, but it's just totally different.
Totally different. Mm-hmm.
So I let him hear it the way we do it. I think he came to my show. He said, oh yeah, great. And he said, because I had a whole lot more talking than it is on that record, right? And he had
okay, it was more, because that song is like 7 minutes long.
Yeah, right. I was in there talking about when my mom and daddy's gone on in, and didn't, and everybody turned it back on me. I was, right. And so Frank said, we got to cut some of it down. So we cut it down. And then the day that I recorded it, he said, Andre Crouch and his sister Sandra been wanting to come by the studio, check you out. He said,
"You mean the gospel?
Yeah. Because I grew up with Andre and them, right? They grew up in L.A. I grew up in Oakland, but we used to fellowship, the Hawkins and all those people. All had our.
I know they from the West Coast. I knew that.
Right. So they'd come to Oakland. We'd have. Musicals, and we just be trying to outdo them, send them back to LA crying, and we go to LA, they trying to send us back to Oakland crying, and so we just be, just the Slides family, the Stewart family, it's like everybody just had their groups, right?
Right.
So I grew up with Andre and them, and so him and Sandra came. So you just imagine, I'm in the studio singing, and Andre Crouch is just looking right down my throat. The greatest gospel arranger alive at that time, right?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Right. And so it just made me, I said, I got to make Andre shake or feel something, feel the spirit.
Blow his socks off.
Yeah, right. So, I was just trying to come with everything I knew and I had, to get a reaction out of Andre. Yeah.
What was it like performing that song?
It's still the same,
I'm talking about. I know it's. I'm talking about when the initial reaction, when you finally perfected it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you ever realize this is going to be a classic song? When did you realize that?
Well, I didn't realize it was going to be like it is. I don't know when that was. It 35, 40 years ago that it was.
Because it wasn't released as a single. I don't believe.
Never was released as a single that it could be so monumental in my, career and everything. But it's just it's one of those things. Yeah. And I'm just so grateful, for just being the writer, one of the writers. Me and my friend Michael Bennett wrote it, and and being the publisher of it, and being able to perform it, every night. I just that's
being able to take care of your family with that song, song alone.
Yeah, I was able to send kids to college.
I know you got a daughter that's like a scientist or something like that.
Yeah, but buying everybody help everybody get a house. I mean that song them about 11 houses.
The thing, this is the thing. It's like that song in a way, and excuse me when I say this, it's almost like I feel sometimes like it's a gift and a curse, because a lot of people associate you strictly with that song, and I'm like, no. Lenny has songs. He has great albums. That is not. Right. He is not what certain people would call a one hit wonder. Like, right. To be honest, that's not my favorite Lenny Williams song.
Yeah, people say to me all the time, "Oh, I love your song." Like that's the only song I ever did.
They need to hear these
But
albums.
But the thing about it is, though, I can't get mad at it because that song has just been. Because to be honest, if I was
it's not the best Lenny. Okay, let me stop. Let me stop. I want people to get mad at me. I'm gonna leave it alone.
But if I had to work off of Tower Power songs that I did for Tower Power, or the song I did with Kenny G, I probably wouldn't be working. People don't call me to sing "Don't Make Me Wait for Love," or they don't really call me to sing "So Very Hard to Go." They don't call me to sing "This Time It's Real." But because they call me to sing "Cause I Love You," I can throw in "So Very Hard to Go."
It's a great song. I love the song. It's one of my favorite. I'm just, for the record, I just want people to know that this brother has an immense body of work, an immense catalog that you guys need to check out. I'm talking about some really great, not songs, great albums. And I really feel like, in my opinion, I don't feel like you get your just due, because that your voice alone, you can sing the goddamn excuse my language, but you can sing the damn phone book, and it's a hit, because you have that. It's that voice that, and when you get just some decent songwriting, which you for the most part you've been given great songwriting, which a lot of you have put work you've been involved in, but the combination of your voice and great songwriting is just it's phenomenal, and I just have to say that to you, Lenny.
I appreciate that. Right? Yeah,
you got me through a lot of dark days and hard times in my life, man. Just listening to your music, brother.
No, I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, and it's just really kind of interesting. I get it all the time. I love your song. It's like they don't know that, or they just forget about all the other stuff.
Reach out with your mind. Come on, reach out with your mind. You got me running. Yeah. I mean, I can go on and on, man. You the cat is so very hard to go. I remember when I was going through. I don't even want to talk about it, but man, you get your songs has got me through a lot. Not just me, a lot of people.
It's amazing, right? Yeah. So, and I appreciate the compliment and you understanding, that. I mean, I guess it's like Urkel. I mean, the guy's a great actor, but everybody remembers him as being, Jaleel White. Everybody remembers him as being Urkel, and the guy can be, romantic, and he could be an action guy. Got the body and everything, but but that song has just been so phenomenal that it wipes away all of the pain,
and that's what I mean, the gift and the curse.
Yeah, the insult or whatever, the slight.
It's a classic. I'm not taking nothing. The song is phenomenal. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
That song has probably generated somewhere close to a couple of $1 million.
I believe.
That song, Kanye and Twista sample, Scarface and Japanese, and what it has done for me is it allowed me to sing my catalog because people come to hear that, and and I do it last. So you got to stay. And, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know.
You gotta get
Yeah.
shoo foo foo.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get all that. Gotta get the whole Lenny Williams bag, which is
Right.
which is not a bad thing.
No.
So I don't want to stay on this too long, but just give us a little inspiration behind that song, because it's a lot going on in that song.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I had a house at that time, and I was getting some work done on it. And so this guy that was the carpenter that was doing the work kept telling me about his son, how phenomenal his son was as a songwriter, dancer, musician, and everything. So it's like, okay, everybody thinks their kids are great, right? So finally, after him, browbeating me, I relented and said, okay, I'll meet your son. So I met his son, and his son was everything that he said he was.
Mm-hmm.
But his son would tell me all the time that he had to be inspired to write a song. He had to have some kind of inspiration. And I was telling him, over at Motown, those guys go to work like a regular job. They punch in,
assembly line,
and they sit down, they start writing, and Barry Gordy come through there, and or Mickey, Stevenson or somebody come through there. What you got? Checking it out.
Holland, Doja Holland.
Mm-hmm. And so I said, so what would you do if Barry Gordy offered you a job over there? And, you say, well, I wasn't inspired today, Mr. Gordy. I can't write nothing, And he said, no. I said, you'd have to write, right? And so I got him to buy into that. And so this particular morning, he came by for our regular writing session. And I was like, man, I don't really feel like it. And he was like, why? And I was like, me and my girl kind of got into it, and I'm just, just not in the mood. He said, would you tell Barry Gordy that? And I was like, no. He said, well, come on then. So we went in there and sat down, and that's, the rest is history. Yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Now, again, I was just like being born when that song came out. So when that song came out, was that play, even though it wasn't released on a single, what was the reception like as far as like radio play? Did it, how did that come about,
Yeah, they just started playing on the radio and people was requesting it, and it was just, it just sold the albums.
Right.
You had to, if you wanted that song, you had to go buy the album. That's what every record company and every singer wants is, somebody to buy that whole album.
Get that album.
What I mean? So then if you wrote all 10 songs, you're getting writing and publishing, and everybody's hearing your whole writing experience right there. And so it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. As a matter of fact, that record was so powerful. I mean, we were in Baton Rouge, and I was on tour with Richard Pryor and Patti LaBelle.
Oh, let me come back. Ooh. Hey, Lenny. It's all good. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm a yeah. Can you hear me? Test it. Can you hear me? Let me see something. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Put Lenny back on. Testing. Let me call him.
Yeah, I'm going to get back on now.
Okay, I'll just making sure that everything's. I'm back on. All of this is going to be edited anyway, and I'm not going to keep you much longer. So sorry that we've been going this long, but yeah. Just I'm back on. Just come back on whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it working right
now. Okay. I'm whenever you are ready. Whenever you are.
Okay. Cool.
All right, brother. Here we go. All righty. Testing.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Back. All this will be edited, so don't even worry about it. It's gonna be edited.
Yes. I remember one time we were in Baton Rouge, and I was on the tour with Richard Pryor. He was the headliner, and so every city we went to, I'd open the show.
Right.
Then Patty, then Richard. So we get to this city, Baton Rouge, down in Louisiana. So the lady that's the promoter of the show says, "Okay, the order of the show is Patty's going on, then Lenny, and then Richard." And then I'm like, ain't no singer in their right mind want to go on behind Patty. I don't want to go on behind Patty, singing and rolling out on the floor and carrying on.
Oh, she was doing that back then?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. So she said, no, but the reason I'm doing that is because these people in Baton Rouge, they come out late. And she said, and if they come to this show and they don't hear that "Cause I Love You," they're going to want their money back.
They're going to be mad.
And I'm going to tell them I'm not going to give them their money back. And then they're going to be wanting to tear the place up. So this is the way it go. So Patty was like, no. This is the way we do it. So then Patty called for Richard. So Richard come down. And he sit there for about 2 minutes. And he's like, Lenny go on. Then Patty, then me. And the lady said, no. It's going to be Patty, Lenny, and Richard. Richard said, yeah, I'm gone. Richard going back upstairs and do what Richard does, right? He finna go up there and have him some fun. So I had to go, so that's where it was. Patty went on, then I went on, and as soon as they heard that, they just went crazy, and it just, it worked, right? Yeah, but I was like, ooh, if this don't work, if this song don't get them, I'm gonna get embarrassed because I got to come on behind Miss Patty LaBelle with her good self.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you knocked that one out the park. I saw you perform that, in your prime. Even though you still sound amazing to this day. But I was watching you perform that, I believe, like on Doc Kirshner's
rock concert.
Yeah, and though your vocals, brother. Somebody, excuse me. I saw two versions of it. Somebody ended up putting the recorded version,
right?
And I'm like, y'all don't need to do that.
Right.
You don't have to do that because the live version of that song is amazing, brother. When you hit that, you hit a couple of notes in that song, and I'm just completely blown away. I can't wait to drop this interview because I want to show people the greatness in Lenny. I'm so excited about this interview because that song is one of my favorite vocal live performances of all time.
Yeah, it was really interesting the way I got that Don Kirshner right, because that's when the album, that Spark of Love album came out. We were working on it, right, and then they was like, and I was trying to get on Don Kirshner, right, and they said, well, we got your ticket to fly to L.A. Because Don Kirshner wants to meet you, right?
He was a big deal back then.
Yeah, right. So then I go meet Don Kirshner, right? I walk in the office and he's behind his big desk and everything. So then he's like, yeah, Lenny, I got a few songs for you. So he gave me a couple songs, and then he come with Half Past Love. Half Past Love. And I said, okay, I like that one, right? So then he said, you going to do it on the album? I said, yeah. The next thing I go back, next day I get a phone call. we got you booked on the Don Kirshner rock concert, right?
Just like that.
Yeah, a little back slapping. You watch my back, I'll watch yours, right?
I know that's right.
And so I wound up doing Half Past Love, and I got on Don Kirshner's rock concert.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another banger, man. I swear, ABC, man, you guys was killing it. Like I said, you guys had at that time, had my favorite R&B group of all time,
the Dramatics.
You ever had you guys? You had a relationship with like LJ and all them?
Oh yeah, LJ and Ron Banks, Squirrel, Lenny Mays.
I love those guys. That is my favorite R&B group of all time. I love those guys, man. And then you also had the Four Tops. I believe they still recording with ABC at the time as well.
Yeah, the Four Tops was over there, right? Yeah, it was.
Y'all had some vote, man. You guys had some
BB King was over there, right? Yeah, Denise LaSalle. Yeah. It was jumping over there.
Steely Dan. They just came off their Asia album and everything, man.
Yeah.
So talk about, this is one of my favorite underrated producers, and we're talking about the late Frank Wilson. What was it like working with Frank Wilson?
Frank was just a beautiful person, he very humorous, gentle person, just very, very knowledgeable. It was really interesting. He'd use like 4 guitars, on a song. It's like, okay, you playing ching, ching, you playing chicka chink chink chink, and I want you to do, this, and and he would, he'd go over there and just hum what he wanted and everything. But he was just a beautiful person, just kind, and then he became a minister.
A minister, yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And but he had a beautiful wife, Bonnie. And she was a really nice person. Just Frank was just kind, big brotherish, so to speak. Been through Barry Gordy school, and he learned a lot over there, and he applied it. Yeah.
No doubt.
Just a genius when it came to putting records together.
No doubt. Now you finish off your time at ABC. They end up switching over, becoming MCA Records, and you released your last project, the Taking Chances. Mm-hmm. You went on to release a lot of some really solid projects on Roshire and Knob Hill, and so what was it like? What were some of the things that you learned during that time? Like after your MCA tenure, what were some of the things that you picked up along the way that made you the artist that you are today?
Well, I started doing my own labels, and then I realized that record companies aren't so bad. They're not so greedy. Because I understood why they wanted a piece of the publishing. Because you put so much money and effort into these records, and if you're looking to get your money back, and so you're looking for money to come from all various streams. I remember a good friend of mine, Larry Baptiste. He's a big shot with NARAS, to give out the Grammys. So he said, Lenny, I'm trying to help you get this Grammy, right? And he said, so send me your record, this and that, and so he had actually done some arranging on my record, right?
Right.
And so I sent him the record, and then he calls me back. He said, man, you didn't even have my name on the record. And I was like, you know what? I forgot. And it's like, but that's why record companies have an art department. They have somebody to go over that record. I used to remember they calling me and, well, who wrote this? And who's singing background on that? And they cover all the bases. But I'm trying to do everything, and I dropped the ball. And it's just, so I see they employ all these people. They got to try to get their money back. So they
got to recoup that money.
Yeah, right. Want that. And so as I started having my label, and I'd get other people to write, and I said, well, can I have a piece of publishing? Can I do this? And then they were resistant. And I understood that as an artist and a writer, because that's the way I was. And sometimes I still am, about certain songs or things like that. But it helped me to understand, record companies, and that they're not always the monster that that they're portrayed to be. They're still monstrous, but not on the level that that usually that they're portrayed as. And just tell me about hard work, diversification, just all the various things that go into making a record happen. Sometimes it's even more than the music. It's the publicity. Just the relationship that you have with radio,
Right.
the relationship you have with promoters, doing shows, and all these various elements go into making records and making.
So I take it a lot of a lot of these things you probably weren't privy of as an artist.
Yeah, I wasn't, and maybe because I had people doing it, for me, that you just kind of like, kind of,
Right.
take it easy. But I think that anybody who's an entrepreneur,
Right.
whether you're cutting lawns and you got 50 different lawns, or or you run a janitorial business and you got 7 or 8 buildings downtown, doctors' offices, or whatever, you understand the complexity of having a business,
Right.
all the different things that it takes, and because I had never ran a business, and once I started doing that, I mean my parents had but I just kind of worked for them, I just got to get my little money, and
Right.
but I never just got into the whole you know intricate part of sitting in that little office in that room and figuring out how it worked. But then once I start doing it, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is not a 9 to 5 kind of thing.
Right.
That's my wife always told me, you never take off. It's like I might be 11, 12 o'clock or something, and I'm like, hey, can you do this? And she be
Right.
like, she got her mouth stuck out. Nah, and I'm like, okay, see, so that's the difference between me and you.
Right.
But I was saying, but if this was your business, I mean, I know it's yours because we're married.
Right.
But if it was something that that
She's hands on.
you had hands on and you had the fervor for it, you'd be doing the same thing.
No
So
doubt.
right now she's into going to the gun range and getting women into shooting and learning how to use guns and gun safety and things of that nature. So she's gung ho about that, and she's 6 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. She's reading about different things and trying to put people together and organize trainings and things like that
Right.
nature. So I said, so you see, now you see, and so that's it's definitely not a 9 to 5, 8 to 4 kind of thing. You got to
Right.
be willing to put everything you got into it.
What inspires you to continue to release music? Because I know you just dropped a project, Fine, in last year during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and you got a new single that I want you to talk about that just dropped
Right.
recently. So with all that said, what inspires you to continue to to perform, to even still be in this business today?
Because I love it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. To just, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've been getting up in front of audiences saying Easter speeches and Christmas
Right.
speeches and being in plays and singing in choirs and groups and things of that nature, and singing solo, singing A and B selections at church.
Right.
And so it's something that I do. While I'm entertaining the audience, I'm entertaining myself. It's like,
Right.
oh, damn, you sounding good, boy. Or
Mm-hmm.
you turned around, and did a little spin. Look at
Right.
you. I'll be entertaining myself, and it's funny. I'll be thinking when I'll be up there. I mean, it's like I'll be thinking about the songs, but then I'll be thinking, about what I'm doing. I mean, I hear myself hitting certain notes, or I'd say, I want to go. I want to go. I want to do that.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes it's just natural. It just happens, and then a lot of times I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I want to try that. I want to try to go here from
Right.
this note to that note. Or do this run or whatever. And so it's challenging.
It's challenging. Yeah.
It's challenging, and it's fun. Then you get off and you say, oh man, I did everything I wanted to do.
No doubt.
And,
I like to ask artists. I like to ask artists this question. Do you still get that same feeling? Because you sung these songs,
mm-hmm.
Thousands of times. I'm pretty sure, probably millions. So with this immense catalog that you have accumulated throughout the years, do you ever get tired of certain songs, or do you still get the same feeling with with a lot of these great songs that you
Yeah,
release?
I do, and I think the part of it is like, you know, it's like sort of like a salesperson. You selling, you know, knives or whatever.
All right.
But every time you make a sale, it's like it's the same knife,
Yeah.
same company, everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, and you show it to people, and so it's like when you do a song, and when you finish, and the audience applauds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
give you the applause, or they saying yeah, or they
Yeah.
clapping, or
Yeah.
or they got their little move going on, shaking their body or something. Then it's like that you sold it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you know, and so that's the satisfaction that you're up there, and everybody's got their eyes on you, and you're presenting something to them, and they're accepting it, and
Right.
it's making them feel good, and so then in turn that makes you feel good. There's a sense of accomplishment, as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and then I also want to add on to this because now you have when you look into the audience, you see younger people in the crowd now. So you got a lot of your music has been reintroduced to another generation, such as myself. Like when you put out Spark of Love, I was just coming into the world. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
but the beautiful thing about music, I feel like it transcends time because your music, and I like to tell artists that. And when I say this, I mean this. Like your music takes me back. It feels like I was there in 1978 and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I was a grown man instead of being just coming into the. It felt like it takes me there. I feel like I'm living vicariously through Lenny Williams when I listen to your music, man. I mean,
No, I
so
get
so
it.
so talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit. Do you ever do fans ever tell you? Do younger fans ever come up and tell you? Well, I'm pretty sure they do. But what do you think of when younger fans come up to you and tell you how much your music means to you?
Well, I think I mean, it's humbling, in a way,
Yeah,
just to think that somebody that wasn't even born when when you made this record, that it's just kind of a miracle in a way that they that even got to them, that they even discovered your
yeah,
music, because radio is trying to
yeah.
play all the the current stuff,
Right,
and that they so you say, well, must have been their mama or their daddy or something that was playing the records around the house, or grandmama or something like that,
right,
or and so then you and then the fact that they like it, that they can go back and kind of set aside what they're hearing now,
mm-hmm,
the instruments and the instrumentation that they're hearing now, and go back to that time period and get involved in the music. I mean, it's it's magic almost. It's just
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of a humbling because it's historical in a way, and who likes history? Sitting in the history class, talking about what they did in
right,
17 whatever, and it's like,
right,
I
right.
want to go out riding my new Mustang, or
All
whatever, right, and get on my skateboard.
right.
And so so like I say, it's just a kind of a it's just humbling, really. Yeah.
Yeah, but 50 years ago, did you ever see your career being what it is today? Like, did you ever think that you would be this legendary figure in R&B? Did you ever see it being this way?
I I have to say that I wanted that, So I mean,
Because you're a humble guy. You're a humble guy, but
uh,
Lenny, you're a legend.
yeah.
You're a
Yeah,
legend, man.
I mean, yeah. Sometimes I think about it, and I was just talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, wow, you're just on the ride, so and I hear people talking about now, that you got to enjoy don't just only think about,
Right.
you know, being at the top, but you got to try to enjoy the journey,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I wonder if I did, or I mean, I guess I just sort of like on a roller coaster. You're just moving so fast and up and down and stuff like that. That
Mm-hmm.
that next thing you know, you're at the end of the ride, and but you didn't see this or see that or whatever, And so I don't know. I mean, I guess at some point in time, I'm coming to that place where I'm kind of like looking back and saying, oh, yeah, I read books about rock stars and stuff. I
Right.
said, oh, I was there. I know him. I know her. I did that. Yeah, I spent the night at their house. whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I was there. I was a part of all that. Yeah.
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 Just recorded at the, I believe those early Tower Power albums was recorded at the record plant, right?
Yeah, we did some stuff at the record plant. We made the first two records. I think the first record was at Wally Hyder's, which is a very famous studio over there.
I heard of that studio.
And then I think back to Oakland. I think we did back to Oakland at the record plant, and we did some up in Seattle too, because we were spending a lot of time up that way. And Danny Kaye had a studio over there. I remember meeting Bette Midler over there when she was getting
Yeah.
And she's like,
I know Stevie was recording at the record plant, and the Isley Brothers. I'm pretty sure you ran into those guys, every now and then.
James and everybody right there. Yeah.
Okay. What was like the biggest, like moment in your career when you look back like, wow, I can't believe I did that? And I'm talking about anything, like you meeting somebody, a performance, anything. Like, what is one of your biggest moments that you could just think back like, wow?
I think one time I did something for Motown, and then I was leaving, and Berry Gordy shook my hand and said, "You're great," and then I think he thought that that I just kind of took it as, just him just saying something,
Right.
I got to say something, so I just said, "You're great," and then he kind of grabbed my hand and said, "No, you're great," and I was like, "Ooh." For Berry Gordy to say that to me was really special. And then the first time I talked to Aretha Franklin on the phone when she called me, and I was like, "Dang, we just talking, like we friends." And everything.
That's awesome. So look, like I said, you just released the Project Fine during the pandemic. What was that like? Yeah,
I was working with Levi Caesar, the guitar player who played with Prince for 13 years in the New Power Generation band.
New Power Generation,
Yeah, right. And so we just, I met him. Well, I kind of saw him when he was growing up, but I didn't really know him. But I knew his family, his aunt, his mom, and uncles and stuff. And then I finally got a chance to meet him, and get to know him. And we just started writing, and wow, we got about 10, 11 songs over here.
Got some material.
Yeah, right. Let's put it out. And so that was just a really great experience. Yeah. So I talk to him almost every day now, and so
I got to get him on the platform. Man.
Phenomenal artist.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he got some stories.
Yeah, great cat. Great, excellent songwriter, producer, and just an all-around nice guy.
Okay. And talk about your plug this new single before we get up out of here.
My new single is called Tonight. Yeah. I was down south doing a show with some guys, Sir Charles and Tucker, on the Southern Soul circuit down there, and Pokey Bear. And so this young kid comes up to me and tells me, "Oh, Mr. Lenny, I write songs." I said, "Okay, here's my number, whatever." So he called me a couple times, and then I think about a year went by, and then he called me saying, "Mr. Lenny, I got something I think you might like." So he sent it to me. I was listening to it, and then I was hanging out with Levi, and I was like, "What you think, Levi?" He's like, "Man, I like that." So me and Levi, we wrote a melody and wrote lyrics and sent it back to him. He said, "Oh man, I love what y'all did," and boom, we put it out. Yeah.
No doubt.
So we've been getting a lot of positive feedback on that.
Yeah, I love it. It's classic Lenny Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you haven't missed a beat, and I'm glad that you're still in this thing. I'm glad that you continue to contribute to the culture. Because you could have just left this alone like 40 years ago, and you've been a legend just off Tower Power. In my book, you've been a legend off of Tower Power alone. But the fact that you have been going, 40 plus years strong as a solo artist is just a testament to how great of a talent that you are, Lenny.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the people, still love the music, and I still get called for shows and things like that. Got some shows coming up here. I think I started back just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And, now I got about 25 shows. I'm booked all the way through the whole year now.
I'm glad I was able to get you. I'm glad I was able to. Are you doing it with Tower Power?
No, I don't think so. But it's really funny that I was talking to a publicist today who was their publicist. He's not anymore, but he was like, uh, "I see in your schedule you're going to be in LA on the 7th, and Tower Power is playing on the 8th. Why don't you uh, stay over one night
Hey,
and come on, walk out with them, be a special guest?" I said, "I don't know if I want to do that or not." "Oh, come on, Lenny, you know." I said, "Well, I'm gonna sleep on it tonight, and I'll call you either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking." Yeah, so
and
who knows?
I take it you haven't gotten back to him.
I didn't get back to it tonight, but yeah. So maybe tomorrow we'll talk and see. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, look, we about to go ahead and get up out of here, brother. It's been an honor having you on the
Mm-hmm.
platform. We have the one, the only, the legendary Lenny Williams. Thanks for stopping by, brother.
Yeah, and if folks want to reach me, they can reach me at lennywilliams.com.
Talk about it.
I'm on Twitter, at Lenny Williams, and I'm on Instagram, the real Lenny Williams. And so I check it out, 5, 6 times a day. And if somebody get back to you, it's me, right? No robots and nothing like that,
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. So
And before we get out of here, next show's coming up. Anybody who watched this, who's watching this interview, what is the next show coming up for you?
let's see here. Check this phone out right quick. My next show will be in Sumter, South Carolina. I think I'm gonna be with Switch.
Okay.
Then I go to Jacksonville, Florida, on July 24th and 31st. Buffalo, New York, August 6th, Las Vegas, August 7th, Los Angeles, August 14th, New York, August 21st, Memphis, September 3rd, Montgomery, September 5th. I'm with September 3rd. I'm with the Isley Brothers. September
Ooh.
5th with the Isley Brothers in Macon. Then Chicago. Then I got Albany, Georgia. I think that's with Charlie Wilson.
Okay.
I go to Minneapolis with
Woo.
the Whispers and
You all over the
Stephanie
place,
Mills. I'm all over
man.
the place. Yeah, right.
Man, it's like it's like your prime all over again. It's like nothing has changed.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing has
I'm a little more
changed.
mature, a little more sane. Yeah. Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And a little bit more business savvy
Yeah.
too.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Ain't nothing slick to a can of oil.
Right. Exactly. Right.
I know that's right.
Remember that one. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that New York show, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'm gonna definitely
sure.
that's close. That's close to my region here in Washington D.C. I'm gonna definitely have to check that out.
I think they got me coming to Baltimore in February of next year. Right.
Okay.
I think coming with the Manhattans and.
Oh man, I just talked to Gerald. To Gerald maybe about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that I got a phone call about that the other day.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to see you out here still performing, Lenny. It's been an honor to have you on. We love you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to hearing more, great music from you, brother. Just keep doing your thing.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on bridging the gap.
Bridging the bridging the generations,
And
but
the generational gap, right?
no doubt. This has been a dream of mine, and I'm honored, brother. We about to roll out the red carpet for you. Just know that.
I appreciate it, and sorry about being late. Yeah, but yeah.
It's nothing. It was well worth it. It was worth it, brother.
Okay, God bless now. All
All right, take care, Lenny. You have a good night.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.